Hi, I'm Pattu from FreeFinCal, and this is why you need to increase your SIP amount each year. By SIP amount, I mean the amount you invest in your entire portfolio, equity and fixed income each year. I say SIP amount because it's easier to catch people's attention, but that's what I actually mean. And let's understand why we need to do that. There are two reasons, there are two benefits to doing that. If you increase your investments each year by 5 or 10%, the amount you need to invest for a particular goal will become less significantly. We will look at examples. It may sound silly and obvious to you, but if you put in more money, you will get a higher corpus. We'll see how exactly this benefit is obtained via a rolling return step-up SIP calculation. So this is known as a step-up SIP in the industry. They say that you can step up your SIP amount every year, or you can change the period over which you can increase the step up. But there's no need for a step up SIP, or there's no need for even an SIP to do this. And I would recommend not to start an SIP, in fact, because you can do it so much easier to do it manually, and so that's what I would recommend. So let's look at the first benefit. So this is a snapshot from my robo advisory template. So we are looking at a goal planning scenario, a goal which is 15 years away, and the current cost of the goal is 10 lakhs. So at about I forget the rate of inflation which is used, I think 8-10% inflation, the future value of this 10 lakhs would be about 41 lakhs, 41.7 lakhs after 15 years. It doesn't matter, the rate of inflation doesn't matter. Anyway, so 41.7 lakhs would be the target corpus, and for this corpus, for the given inputs, if you were to invest the same amount every year, then you need to invest about 12,053 rupees every year in a portfolio of 50% initially, 50% equity and 50% fixed income. But that asset allocation doesn't really matter. But focus on the 12,053 rupees investment amount when you do not choose to increase the investment amount. But now, if you increase the investment amount by 5% every year, so then the initial investment you need to make is only about 9,000 rupees, 8,995. Next year you need to invest 9,445. The next year after that 9,917, and so on. So if you increase your investment, if you decide that I'm going to increase my investments by 5% every year, then the first year investment will drop down by 25%. If you decide to increase the investments by 10% every year, the first year investment will drop down by 45%. For the 5% increase case, for the first 7 years, for the first 6 years, the amount you invest will be less than the case for the 0% increase. That is the 12,053 I just talked about. So you have about 7 years time to catch up to that initial amount for the previous slide where we said 12,053 for no increase in investments every year. So if you increase your investments by 5% every year, you have 7 years window to catch up to that value. After that, from the 8th year to the 15th year, the investments will be higher than the 12,053, but that is the price you have to pay for investing less initially. But so it is easier because today some people may not have enough income. They may expect some income to increase after 5-6 years. So for that kind of scenarios, this works quite well. So this is the first reason why you should opt for increasing your investments every year, because the amount you need to invest for a particular goal will become less initially, and then you have a few years for it to grow. Of course, it may become difficult to try and increase, put in more and more money. That is, you're increasing 10% more every year. It may become difficult down the line, but it's something that you can try. I have been trying to do that for the past 8-9 years. It has been difficult, but I've managed. So now let's consider rolling return step-up SIP calculation. So in the last few videos, I've been showing you rolling returns for SIPs. Those SIPs were constant investment amounts. Now we are going to look at 3 SIPs. So you can see XIRR 0%, which is the green dots, XIRR 5%, the blue dots which you cannot see, they're hidden behind, and XIRR 10% is the red dots. So XIRR 0% means those are all different SIPs in Franklin India Blue Chip for 10 years, 10-year duration. It started between December 1993 to about early 2009, and 0% XIRR means here 0% increase in the SIP amount. So there's no step up SIP. That's what 0% XIRR means. 5% XIRR means that is the annualized return for a 5% increase in the SIP amount every year. 10% is 10% increase in the SIP amount. Notice that there's not much difference between the returns. That's expected. The small differences that you see are because of rounding off errors and errors in the machine precision. So it's not it's not a big deal. So you should not increase your SIP amount to get higher returns. If people tell you that you're going to get higher returns, it's wrong. It's misselling. Don't do that. This is not for higher returns. What you will get higher is the final investment value, the final portfolio value at the end of that 10-year period considered here. Notice that the 10% increase, 10% step up is uniformly higher than the 5% step up, and the 5% step up is uniformly higher than the 0% step up. Of course, this is obvious to you because you are putting in more money, you're going to get higher value. It may seem obvious to you, but is it worth it? So to actually add more money in. Now, to understand that, what we will calculate is, so we will calculate the value for 5% step up SIP minus the value, the final portfolio value for no step up in SIP, that is 0% step up SIP, that means constant investments. The difference in value divided by the difference in investments. So this is the final value for the 5% step up, final minus final value for the normal SIP, divided by total investment made in the 5% SIP and the minus the total investment made in the 0% SIP. You can pause the video to understand this for a moment. So we are looking at the ratio of gain in portfolio divided by the investment made. And again, we are doing it for 10% minus 0% and 10% value minus the extra investment made. So if you look at the gain in value divided by the extra investment made, for both 5% and 10% step up SIPs, the gain divided by the extra investment made is always above 1, which means that there is always a gain. So for the extra investment made, you are actually gaining, you are actually making a credible gain in the final portfolio value. It is always above 1. So it's more than quite probable that you will get a benefit by investing more. And it's often typically about 1.5 times, and it's sometimes more often much more than that, depending on market conditions. So there is always for the extra money that you put in, the increase in final value is actually beneficial in terms of the extra investment made. And if you also look at the same ratio, gain in value divided by extra investment between 10% to 5%. So value for 10% step up minus value for 5% step up divided by the total investment for 10% minus total investment in 5%. Again, it's more or less similar. It's typically higher than 1, and it's more or less close to 1.5. So that means there is a benefit. Of course, you can't say 10% step up is more beneficial than 5% step up. That you cannot say. Whether it is 5% or 10%, it is beneficial than 0% step up or a constant SIP. That much you can definitely say. Of course, for if you do a goal-based calculation, for the first few years in a step-up SIP, the value you invest will be lower than the constant SIP. So in that case, it's okay. I have not done a goal-based rolling return step-up SIP calculation here. This is only for a constant SIP without any step-up, and then a 5% step-up and a 10% step-up. So even for that, there is a benefit. So if you did a goal-based investing calculation, the investment, extra investment considered in this case would be actually lower there. So the benefit is even higher. All the more reason to do it. But how do I do it? First of all, I would recommend that you do not start SIPs, because when you start SIPs, you're marrying yourself to the same fund. Why would you want to do that? Of course, these advisors and AMC guys will say, oh, because of behavioral finance and all that, you should not stop your SIPs. You should always keep investing. There's a huge conflict of interest involved. Why should you start SIPs? You can do a online transaction in 45 seconds or 30 seconds today. Using your mobile phone, I'm doing it with my laptop in about 45 seconds. That's all it takes. Why do I want SIPs? I have the freedom to invest a higher or lower amount every month. I have the freedom to change the investment. I can put it in this fund or another fund. I can do that. I can choose to not invest for a few months if I want to. It's up to me. It's completely in my control. So I would suggest don't start SIPs. Invest manually. Have the discipline to invest manually. Of course, advisors will crib. Oh, no, don't do all that and all that. Screw them. I don't care. You do. My point is, if you want to become wealthy, you need to have the discipline to invest manually on your own. And I think you should inculcate that discipline. SIP is not, it will not create any discipline. It's just automation. You have to put in that discipline. And since there's no need to even start an SIP, there's obviously no need to even start a step-up SIP option. There's no need for any such options. Some people, what they will do is they'll first start an SIP for 1,000 rupees. Then they'll add another SIP as a top-up and say, this is my second SIP for another 1,000 in the second year. So don't do all that nonsense. Keep it simple. Invest manually. Increase the amount that you invest each year manually by 5% or 10% or 3%, whatever amount that you can afford. But think of it like a regimen and do it with discipline. The more you invest with discipline and having a system for risk management, the more wealthy you will get. So that's what I want to say in this video. I'll catch you again in another. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.